Hello and welcome to the very first episode of China Sports Insider, and joining me today, two of China's best young drivers, Adderly Fong and Franky Cheng. Guys, thanks for being here. Now, first of all, just a general assessment of the state of motorsports in China. How's the growth since you've been involved in the sport, Franky?
Well, I remember I started racing in go-kart, that's more than 10 years ago, and really it was a very limited number of people really involved in motorsports in China. And since then, the speed grows rapidly, and we have now many different car brands involved in Chinese motorsports, and also we have got quite a few young drivers come through. So I think it's looking quite positive.
Adderly, are you encouraged by the speed of that development, or would you like to see it grow faster?
When I first started in 2006, it was a bit good balance. It was a bit of GT cars, it was a bit of Formula. But after a few years racing in Europe, and now I'm back in Asia for the last 2 years, I think it's gone more towards the GT route, and especially in Asia. It's a bit of a pity because a few of the Formula races, which were quite big back in the day, have died away.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because the way the cars communicate with the end user. As a Formula car, in China, because only China is starting to open up and the economy is just taking off. So the people who can afford to race and who can buy the cars they understand what a famous brand is, rather than looking at a Formula, who makes it, or what type is this, how fast does it go.
Okay, now certainly in motorsport in the world, at least outside the US, F1 is still the pinnacle. How soon do you guys think it will be before we see a regular Chinese team or driver appearing in Formula One?
Well, to be honest, I think this question is pretty tough and also tough to answer. And myself and Adderly, we have been racing in Europe for many years, and we know how difficult to be really competitive in Europe, and to stay there needs really takes a lot of energy, takes a lot of investment, and from ourselves and also from the family-wise. And I think it's gonna be still gonna be a number of years. We see some good ones really coming through, and because at the moment there are quite a number of young drivers racing in China, but so far they still have not raced in Europe yet. And the difference between here and in Europe is massive. So they still have a lot of challenge ahead of them.
Adderly, how much do you think it comes down to government support, really, if the country gets behind Chinese motorsport? We see like golf comes into the Olympics, the support, and the future of golf looks pretty good here. Do you think you need to see the same thing in motorsport?
Whoever supports, I think, isn't really a big issue. Like any other sport, the more you practice, the quicker you go. But with running, you probably just buy a pair of shoes. With racing, you need a car, you need fuel, you need tires. So instantly, the money that's required to race, it becomes exponentially higher. Especially if you're the higher the championship. Say GP2, which is one step from Formula One, is you're talking about millions. So I reckon for a Chinese team to pop up it'll take even longer than a Chinese driver. I reckon, as with most Asian sports, when a champion arises, then people start noticing this, and then it's the wrong way around.
And finally, Franky, you're from Beijing, you grew up in Hong Kong. If you were to put together a group of the best mainland drivers versus your all-star team from Hong Kong, Adderly, I know you think perhaps the Hong Kong drivers are better. Franky, would you agree?
Well, depending how many drivers we can team up.
Right.
And I think that we have a couple of young coming up drivers, and also one is racing the Porsche. I think one is racing together with us.
Yep.
It's definitely in a good standards. And but from my point of view, I still have to say I think that Adderly and Machi, if they are team up together representing Hong Kong, I think would be a very good partner.
How soon do you think until some of the mainland drivers catch up with Franky and create a stronger presence on the mainland?
They definitely have to go to Europe because, like Franky said, they're worlds apart. The level of motorsport there, the level required to even be on the pace there, and you learn so much once you go to Europe. So staying in China is good because there's lots of races, but if you want to be kind of competitive, you want to learn from the best, it has to be from Europe.
Guys, thank you very much. Thanks for watching, and keep checking back for more episodes of China Sports Insider.